So, picture this. I was just sipping my morning coffee, excited for a big meeting, thinking my long-awaited promotion was finally happening, right? Then my boss, Mr. Davies, smiled confidently, but it wasn't for me. He promoted my lazy coworker instead. It felt like a punch, an actual betrayal, and it started a chain of events that changed everything, forcing me to plan something unexpected, a secret revenge. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? I'd love to know. My alarm clock, bless its digital heart, buzzed at 6 a.m. sharp, like it always did. Another Monday, another week at Apex Innovations. I, Elsie, had been with the company for 8 long, dedicated years. 8 years of arriving early, staying late, skipping lunches, and fixing other people's screw-ups. 8 years of building client relationships from scratch, turning small projects into big ones, and consistently hitting, no, exceeding, every single target Mr. Davies set. I was the go-to person, the one who knew where all the bodies were buried, metaphorically speaking, of course. If a client had a problem, they didn't call Mr. Davies, they called me. If a project was falling apart, everyone looked at me to magically put it back together. And that was okay. I didn't mind the hard work. I genuinely loved what I did, and I believed in Apex. My work felt meaningful. But more than that, I believed in fairness. And I believed in progression. For the past year, it wasn't just a whisper. It was practically an open secret that I was due for the senior project manager role. Mr. Davies himself had hinted at it several times, during my annual review, during casual hallway chats, even during that awful office holiday party where he'd had a bit too much eggnog. "Elsie, you're the backbone of this team," he'd slurred, patting my shoulder a little too hard. "Big things coming for you, big things." I took his word for it. Why wouldn't I? I'd earned it. My desk was a fortress of organized chaos. Stacks of client folders, neatly tabbed, each representing months, sometimes years, of careful cultivation. My monitor glowed with the latest sales figures, numbers I was proud of. I looked at the names on my client list: Sterling Corp, Omni Solutions, Global Reach. These weren't just companies, they were relationships. I knew Mrs. Peterson at Sterling liked her reports concise and early. I knew Mr. Kim at Omni preferred phone calls over emails. These details mattered. They were the foundation of trust, the invisible glue that kept business flowing. I had personally brought in and nurtured contracts totaling well over $1 million annually for Apex. It wasn't just my job, it was my legacy here. Then there was Brett. Brett had joined Apex about 2 years ago. He was charming. You know the type, always has a joke ready, spends more time chatting in the break room than at his desk, and has a knack for making it sound like he's doing a lot when he's actually delegating all the hard stuff to others. He was good at presentations, sure, but the actual groundwork? The difficult client negotiations? The troubleshooting when things went wrong? That usually fell to me, or to Grace, our other reliable coworker, who just sighed and picked up the slack, like me. Brett just floated, smiling, always landing on his feet. Mr. Davies, for some reason I could never quite figure out, seemed to adore him. He called Brett a breath of fresh air, a natural leader. I just saw natural delegator and expert schmoozer. Grace, who had been at Apex even longer than me, would often shake her head. "Elsie," she'd say, "you work too hard. They take you for granted." "No, Grace, it's not like that," I'd protest, always defending the company, defending Mr. Davies. "Hard work pays off." "It has to. It pays off for the company," she'd reply, her voice low. "Not always for the worker." Her words usually just bounced off me. I was too optimistic, too focused on the next deadline, the next success. Today was the day, I was sure. The email had arrived last Friday, cryptic but exciting. "All project leads, please report to conference room B at 9:30 a.m. for an important announcement regarding team structure and future leadership." My heart had done a little leap. This was it. My moment. I'd even bought a new blouse for the occasion, a confident navy blue. I walked into conference room B a little early as usual. Grace gave me a small, knowing smile from across the room. Brett was already there, leaning back in his chair, fiddling with his phone, a smirk playing on his lips. Mr. Davies entered, a wide, almost theatrical grin on his face, holding a single, crisp folder. He cleared his throat. "Good morning, everyone," he boomed, his voice full of self-importance. "As you know, Apex Innovations is growing, and with growth comes opportunity. We've been looking to strengthen our leadership team, to bring in fresh perspectives, and to really foster an environment of dynamic, forward-thinking solutions." He paused, looking around the room, making eye contact with everyone except me, or so it felt. My palms were a little sweaty. This was it. After much consideration, he continued, "And a thorough evaluation of everyone's contributions and potential, I'm thrilled to announce that Brett will be stepping into the role of Senior Project Manager." The world tilted. The air left my lungs. My confident navy blouse suddenly felt like a straitjacket. I heard a small gasp from somewhere, maybe from Grace. Brett pushed himself up, a self-satisfied grin plastered across his face. He actually puffed out his chest a little. Mr. Davies clapped him on the back, a hearty, "Congratulations, you deserve it" kind of clap. My mind, it didn't race. It just went blank. Utterly, completely blank. I stared at Brett, then at Mr. Davies. "Brett?" The name was a whisper, a question I didn't dare voice aloud. This wasn't happening. It couldn't be. This had to be a joke, a test. But no one was laughing. After the initial shock, a cold, hard knot formed in my stomach. Humiliation. It burned, searing hot. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, even if they were trying not to look. They all knew. They all knew I was supposed to get that role. My face felt hot, and I knew I was probably beet red. But I wouldn't cry. Not here. Not ever. I forced a tight smile, the kind that probably looked more like a grimace. "Congratulations, Brett," I managed, my voice sounding distant, foreign. He gave me a quick, insincere smile back, a flash of triumph in his eyes. Later that day, I found Mr. Davies alone in his office. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "Mr. Davies," I said, trying to keep my tone even. "Could I speak with you for a moment?" He looked up, a little surprised, but waved me in. "Elsie." "Yes, of course. Come in." He gestured to the chair opposite his desk. I sat, took a deep breath. "I wanted to understand your decision regarding the Senior Project Manager role," I began, trying to sound calm, logical. "I've been here 8 years. I've consistently brought in and managed our largest accounts. I've trained new hires, fixed major project issues, and haven't taken a sick day in 3 years. I listed it all, the facts, the undeniable truths of my contribution." He leaned back, a patronizing smile on his face. "Elsie, you're a valuable asset, truly. No one is questioning your dedication. But Brett brings a different kind of energy. A fresh perspective. He's a natural with people, a real team player. We felt he was better suited to lead the team into the future." "A natural with people?" I heard my voice rise slightly, but I couldn't stop it. "Mr. Davies, I'm the one who builds the relationships. I'm the one who keeps Sterling Corp happy when Brett forgets a deadline. I'm the one who salvages Omni Solutions when he promises things we can't deliver." He held up a hand, cutting me off. "Now, Elsie, let's not get emotional. This was a leadership decision. It's about vision. Sometimes, dedication isn't enough. Sometimes, you need that spark, that dynamism. Brett has that. Dynamism." I almost laughed, but it would have been a bitter, broken sound. "He has charisma, Mr. Davies. He doesn't have results. I have results. My results are quantifiable. They're in your sales reports. They're in the continued loyalty of our biggest clients." He sighed, a weary, dismissive sound. "Elsie, the decision has been made. I appreciate your passion, but it's time to move forward. I'm sure there will be other opportunities for you in time." "Other opportunities?" After 8 years of proving myself, of carrying the load, I stood up slowly, my humiliation morphing into something cold and hard and sharp. Something that felt like resolve. His words, his complete disregard for my work, for my loyalty, slammed the door shut on any hope I had left for this company. I looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time, I saw not a mentor, not a fair leader, but just a man blinded by superficial charm, ready to throw away a true asset for someone shiny and new. My mind wasn't blank anymore. It was forming a plan. A quiet, terrifying plan. The days that followed Brett's promotion were a strange kind of purgatory. I felt like I was moving through thick mud, every step heavy, every interaction strained. Mr. Davies, surprisingly, acted as if nothing had happened, cheerfully asking me to mentor Brett, to help him get up to speed with the bigger accounts. Brett, on the other hand, was even more insufferable. He'd parade around, making grand pronouncements, then quietly pull me aside to ask, "So, Elsie, how do you usually handle the quarterly report for Global Reach? What are their quirks?" His arrogance was boundless. He genuinely seemed to think he deserved the role, and that my bitterness was just sour grapes. But he was wrong. My bitterness had calcified into something far more dangerous, a quiet, burning determination. I didn't want to fight for Apex anymore. I wanted to leave. And I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to leave a gaping hole, a vacuum that Brett's dynamism wouldn't be able to fill. My plan began subtly. First, I put on a brave face. "Of course, Brett," I'd say, forcing a smile. "I'll help you with anything you need." I'd share general information, the kind that was already in the shared drive, but I'd hold back the nuances, the personal touches that made my client relationships so strong. I'd observe. I watched Brett stumble through a presentation, miss key client details, and blame the team when something went wrong. Mr. Davies remained oblivious, praising Brett's effort. It was infuriating, but it fueled my fire. Grace noticed. "You're too calm, Elsie," she whispered to me one afternoon as we were grabbing coffee. "What are you cooking up?" I just gave her a small, knowing smile. "Just preparing for my future, Grace," I said. "A future that doesn't involve Mr. Davies' dynamic leadership." She looked at me, a flicker of understanding in her eyes, and nodded slowly. She didn't press. Grace knew me too well. My evenings became dedicated to something new. I wasn't staying late at Apex anymore, no. Instead, I was updating my resume, crafting it with meticulous detail, highlighting every major project, every successful client acquisition, every dollar generated. I made sure to emphasize my direct client relationships, the ones I cultivated. I started sending it out, discreetly, to headhunters and direct applications for senior roles at competitor companies. One of the most important parts of my quiet plan involved my clients. I started scheduling check-in calls, ostensibly about current projects, but really, they were about reinforcing our personal connection. "Just wanted to see how things are going, Mr. Henderson," I'd say to the CEO of Sterling Corp., one of Apex's oldest and most profitable accounts. "Everything running smoothly on your end? Any concerns?" "Oh, Elsie, always a pleasure to hear from you," he'd boom. "Everything's fantastic, thanks to you. You're the only one who truly understands our needs." I'd let that sink in. "Well, I appreciate that, Mr. Henderson. I always aim to put our clients first, personally." I made similar calls to Mrs. Peterson at Omni Solutions, to Mr. Kim at Global Reach. I listened to their small complaints about Apex, their worries about future projects, their praise for my handling of their accounts. I was building a bridge, an escape route, not just for myself, but for them too, if they chose to cross it with me. I also began the painstaking process of archiving. Not company files, no. My personal work. My project notes, my performance reviews, emails of commendation, my individual client communication logs. I organized them, printed them, saved them to a secure personal cloud drive. Every major contract I had personally secured, every renewal I had negotiated, every glowing testimonial from a client, it all went into my digital fortress. It was a massive undertaking, but I was methodical, meticulous. After 2 weeks of this quiet preparation, an email arrived that made my heart leap with genuine excitement, not the false hope of a promotion. It was from Viridian Solutions, a direct competitor known for its innovative approach and employee-centric culture. They wanted to interview me for a director of client relations position. A director. That was 2 steps up from my current role and exactly what I'd dreamed of. The interview process was rigorous, but exhilarating. They asked about my experience, my approach to client management, my leadership style. I spoke about building trust, about understanding client needs beyond the surface, about delivering results. I spoke about the clients I'd brought in, the millions in revenue I was responsible for. I felt seen, heard, valued. It was a stark contrast to Mr. Davies' dismissive attitude. Then came the offer. It was fantastic. A significant raise, a generous benefits package, a clear path for growth, and, most importantly, a team that seemed genuinely excited to have me. This was it. My ticket out. But as I held the offer letter, something clicked. It wasn't just about leaving anymore. It was about showing them. It was about revealing the true cost of their blindness, of their unfairness. I thought about Mr. Davies' words, sometimes dedication isn't enough. And Brett's smug face, his incompetence disguised by charm. I thought about all those hours I'd poured into Apex, only to be tossed aside. The humiliation, the injustice, it all welled up. This wasn't just a new job, this was an opportunity for a different kind of justice. My contact at Viridian Solutions, a kind woman named Ms. Alvarez, called to follow up on the offer. "Elsie, we're really hoping you'll join us," she said warmly. "We're building something special here, and your expertise would be invaluable. Especially your client portfolio, if I may say so. We'd love to explore how we can support you in bringing any key relationships you have." That was the pivotal moment. Key relationships you have. It wasn't just about my skills, it was about my clients. The loyal ones, the ones I'd personally nurtured for years, the ones who trusted me. It hit me with the force of a tidal wave. They weren't just Apex's clients. They were my clients. I had secured them. I had maintained them. Their loyalty was to me, not to the company logo on the stationery. "Ms. Alvarez," I said, my voice steady, my heart pounding with a new kind of resolve. "I'm very serious about Viridian Solutions. And yes, I have some very strong relationships. Major contracts, actually. I believe I could bring a significant portion of my current portfolio with me." There was a pause on the other end, then a sharp intake of breath. "Elsie, if you could do that, that would be truly remarkable. We'd be prepared to offer a substantial signing bonus and even higher commission percentages for any business you bring over personally." A chill, exhilarating clarity settled over me. This was it. This was my leverage. This was how I would get my revenge. Not by yelling, not by pleading, but by demonstrating my true value in the most impactful way possible, financially. I spent the next few days meticulously drafting my resignation letter. It was a standard, professional letter for the most part, but I knew, with absolute certainty, what the last line would say. It would be a line that would hit Mr. Davies like a lightning bolt. A line that would reveal exactly what he had lost. Meanwhile, Brett, bless his clueless heart, stumbled. He completely messed up the quarterly presentation for global reach, forgetting key performance indicators and misquoting project timelines. The client, Mr. Kim, called me directly, bypassing Brett and Mr. Davies entirely. "Elsie," he said, his voice laced with frustration, "what's going on over there? This Brett fellow. He doesn't seem to have a grip on things. We're concerned about our upcoming expansion project." "I understand completely, Mr. Kim," I said, my voice calm, reassuring. I smoothly talked him through some immediate solutions, bought us some time. But the seed was planted. He trusted me. And that trust, I knew, was transferable. I felt no guilt. Only a fierce, cold vindication. The stage was set. The day I finally resigned started like any other, but for me, it hummed with a different kind of energy. A nervous excitement, a quiet resolve that settled deep in my bones. I wore a simple black dress, professional, understated. No need for power suits. My power was not in what I wore, but in what I carried, my relationships, my worth. My resignation letter, crisp and folded, rested in my handbag, heavy with consequence. I'd booked a meeting with Mr. Davies for 4 p.m., giving me enough time to tie up any legitimate loose ends. I had made sure all my personal effects were already gone, my desk cleaned out, save for a few pens and a notepad. No dramatic box packing for me. This exit would be precise. Surgical. At 3:55 p.m., I walked to Mr. Davies' office. His assistant, Sarah, looked up, surprised. "He's expecting you, Elsie," she said, a hint of curiosity in her eyes. Everyone probably sensed something was up. I just smiled, a genuine smile this time. Mr. Davies was on the phone, but he quickly hung up as I entered. "Elsie, come in," he said, gesturing vaguely. He seemed a little flustered, perhaps by Brett's latest blunder, which I had subtly overheard whispers about. He probably expected me to complain about Brett again, or maybe even to beg for the promotion I was denied. He looked tired. I walked to his desk and stood. "No sitting this time." "Mr. Davies," I began, my voice clear and steady. "I'm here to tender my resignation." I pulled the letter from my bag and placed it on his desk. He blinked, then picked it up. His eyebrows furrowed slightly as he read the first few lines. "Resignation," he scoffed, a dismissive wave of his hand. "Elsie, don't be ridiculous. This is overreacting. Look, if this is about Brett, we can talk. Maybe we can find a new title for you, a senior associate role, perhaps? We value you, really." His attempt at appeasement was pathetic. I said nothing, just watched him. His eyes scanned the letter, moving past the professional courtesies, past the standard 2 weeks' notice. He was looking for the reason, the drama. And then his eyes landed on the last line. His face, which had been dismissive and slightly annoyed, went completely slack. His mouth, slightly open, just froze. He stared at the page, then at me, then back at the page. The color drained from his face, leaving him pale and stunned. I watched him read it again. The last line. The one I had crafted with such care, such precision, such icy satisfaction. "Please be advised that I have personally secured commitments from Sterling Corp., Omni Solutions, and Global Reach, representing an estimated $1.5 million in annual contracts, to transition their business with me to Viridian Solutions." He lifted his gaze slowly, his eyes wide, disbelieving. What is this, Elsie?" he stammered, his voice thin. "This can't be real." "It's very real, Mr. Davies," I said, my voice calm, almost serene. "My clients are loyal to me, not to Apex Innovations. I've spent 8 years building those relationships. They've expressed their desire to continue working with me, personally. And Viridian Solutions is offering them the excellent service they deserve, under my continued management." He stood up, abruptly, knocking his chair back a little. You can't do this. These are company clients. This is unethical. It's poaching." He was practically yelling now, his face flushing red, a stark contrast to his earlier paleness. "It's not poaching when the clients willingly choose who they want to work with," I corrected him gently, but with an underlying steel. "I simply informed them of my departure and my new role. They made their own decisions, based on who they trust to deliver. And they trust me, Mr. Davies. Not Apex. Not Brett. But the contracts. $1.5 million. That's a massive chunk of our annual revenue. What about Brett? He's supposed to be handling these accounts." He was panicking, truly panicking. The confident smile from a few weeks ago was gone, replaced by naked fear. "Brett can handle the accounts you promoted him to manage," I said, a slight, almost imperceptible smirk touching my lips. "The ones he's already doing such a dynamic job with." I paused, letting my words hang in the air, a silent accusation. I ensured a smooth transition for my current projects at Apex before making my decision. "I've done my duty. Now I'm moving on." He paced his office, running a hand through his thinning hair. "Elsie, please. We can reconsider. We can give you the senior project manager role, immediately. Even better, director. Whatever you want. Don't do this. We need you." The desperation in his voice was thick, cloying. "No, thank you, Mr. Davies," I replied, shaking my head. "It's too late for that. My decision is made. Viridian Solutions values me, and more importantly, they value my clients. Something Apex clearly forgot to do." He slumped back into his chair, looking utterly defeated, his face a mask of shock and regret. He knew he had made a terrible mistake. He knew the cost. He looked at the resignation letter again, that last line, that devastating number, $1.5 million. It was a hammer blow. It was my revenge. The rest of my final 2 weeks at Apex were a blur of awkward goodbyes and frantic damage control attempts by Mr. Davies. He called Sterling Corp, Omni Solutions, Global Reach, only to be met with polite but firm confirmation they were following Elsie. He tried to get Brett to step up, but Brett was out of his depth, floundering without my support, his dynamism proving to be nothing more than hot air. Grace gave me a high five in the break room, a secret smile of triumph. "You really showed them, Elsie," she whispered. "You showed them your worth." I started at Viridian Solutions a week later. The clients I brought over were thrilled, appreciative of the seamless transition and my continued dedication. I was finally in a role where my contributions were not just recognized, but celebrated. The pay was excellent, the team was supportive, and the culture was one of genuine respect. Apex Innovations, I heard through the grapevine, faced significant financial repercussions, and Mr. Davies' position became increasingly precarious. Brett, well, he quickly reverted to his old ways, proving utterly ineffective without someone to lean on, and was eventually demoted, his spark fading fast. Looking back, the humiliation of being passed over for Brett was a bitter pill, but it was also the catalyst. It forced me to see my value, not just through the lens of one company, but as an independent force. It taught me that sometimes your worth isn't in enduring injustice, but in knowing when to walk away and how to make that walk truly count. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but it was also the most empowering. I finally understood my own strength, and I got to see, firsthand, the true cost of underestimating someone. Now, when I close a deal, when I see my clients happy, I know it's because I earned it, and I carry that satisfaction with me every single day. Thank you for listening to my story, really. It means a lot to share it. Before you go, tell me what you think was the most shocking part of my story in the comments below. I'd love to read your thoughts.